we got the update out of California. Governor Gavin Newsom announcing the order there that restaurants and bars would have to close indoor activity statewide as the cases there on the coronavirus front continue to turn in the opposite direction that a lot of people were hoping for. So what's the overall impact to the economy in California? Well, here to answer that is our next guest, Rodney Fong, San Francisco Chamber of Commerce CEO, joins us now. And Rodney, thanks for taking the time to chat. Just want to first get your take on what you're hearing from businesses here when we've heard so much about the pains in shutting down one time. How is it being received after this order was announced yesterday?
Yeah, thank you, Zack, and thanks for having me. This is very difficult, the notion of opening and then closing and then opening again. Many of our small businesses in San Francisco are having an incredibly difficult time. This has been devastating, especially for small business. As we all know, as we look at the recovery, we are hoping for sort of a long U recovery, and we're looking at this W or this yo-yo back and forth. Again, many small businesses can afford to maybe open once. Can they afford to open a second time, close a third time, open a fourth time? And that's really going to be devastating for the consumer confidence, but as well as for the business. California is a very large state. And San Francisco, where I'm from, just to remind everyone, is a very small city. It's only 7 miles by 7 miles. And so we are the second most dense city next to New York City. And from the very beginning have taken a very aggressive approach to the shelter in place. Our numbers as San Francisco County actually are, knock on wood, fare better than other counties. And so Governor Newsom's mandate for the statewide closures is a reeling back for many counties. San Francisco has actually remained very conservative and disciplined in that sense. And so our restaurants and indoor dining has not been open. Some of our bars have not been open. And so to some degree, the state of California has come back to where San Francisco has held the line. And just make some reference to the importance of mask wearing and social distancing. I think it's quite proven in the science that
for sure.
We behave well.
For sure. And when we look at it too, and your estimates of how many businesses might not survive this double shutdown here, as you talk about that W-shaped recovery, what is it looking like when you think about, we've heard from the Open Table CEO talking about restaurants in this country, maybe 1 in 4 permanently closing down because of lockdowns like these now being reimposed in California. What does your data look like for San Francisco?
Yeah, we're hearing similar things, maybe even worse in San Francisco, that up to maybe 50% of the restaurants in San Francisco may end up closing. We're seeing some credit card transaction data in the city saying that businesses down up to 91% overall for retail and restaurants. We did a little survey of our Chamber of Commerce members, and 48% of them said that they had sales drops of 100% in some cases, and some of them permanently closing. So it is catastrophic in San Francisco. That many of the businesses are independent businesses. They're not necessarily formula retail businesses. And so do they have the capital to ride out the pandemic is what's in question.
Yeah, and one last point to note here too. I want to get your take on this because we've heard lockdowns being such a blunt tool, right? When we think about battling this, as you mentioned, masks, though they seem to be a political hot button issue, relatively much less restrictive in terms of the economic activity that can happen with an order like that versus a lockdown. But when you look at the case count in California, some interesting stats there. When you think about where these cases are actually coming from, the brunt of them, the large majority coming from Southern California right now. As a representative there in San Francisco and thinking about businesses and the impact there, what's your take on maybe this time around being a much more blunt tool than what may be necessary if the spike in cases really right now is coming from Los Angeles County and Orange County versus what we're seeing in the Bay Area?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the biggest social experiment that is unfolding right in front of us. And I think we have to take a look at the data that's being collected all around and find out where those cases are, find out the situations that they are occurring, and most of them indoors in close contact over an extended period of time. We also have to look at areas that have been wearing masks and have been social distancing properly. And I think we have to remember this is a global situation. There are other places, countries that are doing very, very well because they're adhering to different procedures and safety procedures. So it's not just us, and I think we have to look at this globally and look for solutions globally as well.
Yeah, and as you kind of point out there, not only just that, but also when we think about states doing this, we remarked on how many states hadn't met even that national guidance that we heard from the White House here in the task force, and seemingly no one seemed to be that worried about it back then, but now we're kind of seeing the repercussions here in the fears of a W-shaped recovery. California may be setting a dangerous example for some other states moving forward as well. But Rodney Fong, San Francisco Chamber of Commerce CEO, appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Thanks, Zack.
Hey investors, Zack Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.